Hey guys, so today is April 15th, 2025. It is tax day. I also found out that another member of the martial arts community, somebody that I had interviewed, somebody that was very accomplished, the founder of the United Karate Foundation, Norton and Chicken Gabriel, has passed away. It just reminds me, man, today being tax day and the unfortunate passing of Norton, there's really only two guarantees in life. It's death and taxes. And since I started the channel a little over 5 years ago, already 4 people that I have interviewed have passed away. And of course, because I cover a lot of stuff from the 80s and 90s in the martial arts world and the action film world, a lot of the people that were involved in those films, for example, are older. So it's not surprising that eventually they would pass away. I don't think any of these guys were really that old, though. It's just a reminder, because I feel like people live their life like they have all the time in the world and they put things off. Everybody procrastinates, myself included, though I procrastinate less and less as I get older, because I basically see this. This is literally like what I see every day. I'm very aware of it. I'm very cognizant of it. And that's also why it's a pet peeve when people waste time. You run into a lot of time wasters, especially when you're trying to do stuff in the film industry and everything else. A lot of shady people in that industry. Same with the fight promotion world, which I've got myself into both of those since I had started the channel. So the point of this video is want to give like a remembrance to a lot of these great interviews that I had on here. First interview that I've ever done was with the late stuntman Steven Lambert. I was never even going to do interviews on the channel, and then I did a video about Steven Seagal and Gene LaBelle, that whole story. And the late Steven's writing partner reached out to me. He's like, hey, I was actually there, Steven Lambert was, and I could tell you the whole story because I had seen it. And I said, well, that sounds wonderful, and I did the interview, and been doing interviews ever since. I was only ever planning to do that one, but this channel just took a new direction many years ago. Steven Lambert unfortunately passed away about a year ago, and then Conrad Palmisano, the actual stunt coordinator, coincidentally enough, on Marked for Death with Steven Seagal, and Conrad brought Gene LaBelle to work on the film, also told the story from his perspective. He, really well-known stunt coordinator, had actually passed away as well. I got some good interviews, some good information from him, things outside of the Steven Seagal, Gene LaBelle thing, some really good stuff. Oh, more recently, Richard Norton looked like the beacon of health. I still have interview clips that I have not, interview segments, like whole videos, good stuff, that I had not actually released yet, and I'm going to pay a nice tribute to him and put those out, of course. And I'll never forget, he told me about this book, and a really good book that he was going to write. It's in his head. He never sat down and wrote it, though, but he's been wanting to for a long time, and unfortunately, because of his passing, we're never going to get that book. But he does recount a couple of stories that he was going to share in the book, and these life lessons in these videos that I'm going to release. So a lot of these guys shared some very amazing stories with their history in action films and the martial arts world, and then a lot of wisdom that came with that, which is nice, including Conrad Chicken Gabriel, that I'll put a couple clips from an interview that I did with him last year. I'll put it in this video.
And I got involved in the wrong walk of life. I got involved in drugs. I got involved in womanizing. And I said, hey, I got it going on. And then I had run into some encounters. I got shot 7 times. And I had some problems with my marriage. And so I had to learn how to humble myself. I had to learn how to be the guy that God called me to be, the one that started in martial arts, because I started thinking that I'm more than what I was, and I found out that I can do nothing without Christ.
Yeah, man. So this channel I was able to capture a lot of things with different individuals who are no longer here, and there's always going to be an archive on YouTube for that, so that's actually kind of good for us. But also, since I started the channel, man, it just reminds me, not only have 4 people passed away whom I've interviewed, 2 of my family members actually passed away. So life is short, man. You never know when your last day is going to be here. You could be 20, you could be 30, you could be 100. You just never know. But the only guarantee that you have is you're going to have less time tomorrow than you do today. So act accordingly. Don't waste time. There's actually don't put things off. There's actually a comment, somebody was, trying to give me a hard time because I was talking about, like, I got this big fight this summer in the UK, for example, and they're like, oh, weren't you talking about getting a fight 3 years ago? Well, I've been in that world trying to get things done for a little while, and I had a fight last March, which went well. Over the course of that time, I had torn my bicep, had to get surgery, I dislocated my shoulder last year as I was preparing for something. But you know what? I stayed on that path, and I kept working. And now things are going to finally pay off. But also, and I'm only mentioning this, by the way, in the last 3 years, how you could completely transform yourself. So I'm hoping this will inspire or motivate you in some way if you don't like where you are right now in life. So basically, in the last 3 years, I went from just being a stockbroker, bored out of my mind, needing a creative outlet, starting a YouTube channel, to now I have shot 6 films. 4 of them are going to be released this year. I got 3 more on the horizon, minimum. 3 more on the horizon after that big fight in July in the UK, and then also started doing some modeling, doing the runways in New York. So my point is that your life can completely change, completely transform. Now, obviously, all of us need to do something to make a living. You can't just like pursue all this stuff if you're not making money. And right now the movies I'm in aren't exactly paying a lot of money. I plan to get there at some point, but to support myself, it's another thing that I've been toiling away at for such a long time, where luckily I can survive day trading by myself, so I could just work for myself, and it gives me the freedom. There's so many good education materials out that I study all the time. I'm looking at charts all the time. So that's another dream a lot of people have. They want to be financially independent if they can. They want to make money for themselves. Maybe they want to start a business. Maybe they want to do whatever. But basically, all this stuff just takes a lot of time. I mean, I've been in the trading world for a long time. Told you, ex-stockbroker, Series 7, 9, 10 licenses. That doesn't mean like I can trade. Even though I'm helping other people with trades, I guarantee you there's a lot of stockbrokers that would never make it as a day trader, at least right now. It doesn't mean that they can't do it. They would have to be basically trading, working on their psychology, working on their technical analysis, working on all this stuff days on end. And then I believe in human potential. So if somebody is that committed to something, whether they're a stockbroker, want to be a day trader, whether an average guy want to be a day trader, whether they're working at Walmart and want to have their own business of their own someday, I 100% believe and know that they are capable of doing it if they put in the work, the time, and the energy. Will it happen tomorrow? Yeah, of course not. Will it happen in a week? Of course not. For example, there's a film that I started writing 4 years ago that I'm still trying to get made, and I had raised some money, and there was a lot of obstacles and other things, but long story short, I have not made that film yet. I have not gotten it made, but I intend to. But it's just an example of like, look, I've been working on this thing for 4 years, and I am not giving up, and I'm trying to still figure out how to get this made somehow, and there have been plenty of revisions on the script and everything else, and I think the time to make it either this year, which I do believe it will get made, or next year at the latest. In that 4-year period of time, I basically have gotten myself more and more ready. Like I said, I've been in 6 films. I got a lot more of the acting experience. Like I revised the script. There's so many things that I can do now with that film, because I wrote it for myself, by the way, to be the lead, and then I'm going to surround myself with some really good actors and whatnot. But I'm way more capable of doing it now than I would have 4 years ago or 3 years ago. So the point is, if you want to be a day trader, if you want to start a business, if you want to get into acting, start now, stay on that path, journal it, strategize, because you'll get a little bit closer every week, every month, every year. You're going to have those setbacks along the way, but there's no reason why you can't achieve ultimately what you want to achieve. And even when I look back at my own life, there's a lot of challenges, especially last year, which I'm not going to get into in this video, but a lot of challenges. But you just got to remember that God is going to test you, not to break you, but to build you, because he needs to build you into the person that you need to become in order to get what you really want. Now think about that for a little bit. And as far as like any goals, I recommend something like this, the 100-day goal journal. Now obviously a lot of goals would take a lot more than 100 days, but it's amazing what you could do in 100 days. For example, you could completely transform your body in 3 months. At least get a really good start. It really, realistically, it's going to take 2 or 3 years, but you could make a lot of progress in 3 months. Or you might think, hey, I want to open a business. I want to start a business. you're not necessarily going to open the door on day 100, but you could have a whole plan outlined within 100 days. You could have some investment. You could have everything mapped out. This is basically just something to keep you guys on track. The reason I bring that up is because it does upset me when I hear people all the time, they have these limiting self-beliefs. They may not even be aware of it, but they need to be, because I'll hear somebody, if they want to meet a nice girl or start a family, oh, I can't meet anybody. Oh, everybody is, crap. Well, don't tell yourself that, man, because not everybody is crap. But if you tell yourself that, you're never going to even be open to finding the right person. There's too many people that say, I can never do that. Why? Says who? Like, you're saying that, so you can't if you tell yourself that, man. You got to reprogram your subconscious. So that's one of my pet peeves, man. It holds everybody back. It held me back for a time. And I want to do whatever I can to help people break out of that, man, because I broke out of that myself. Am I where I want to be right now? No, but at least I'm on the right path, and that gives me happiness, man. At least I'm working towards something. And I know a lot of people, they go through different things mentally, sometimes depressed. I'm telling you, if you're working hard towards something and you got that focus, you're not going to be depressed, man. You're going to be happy, even though you're going to be frustrated at times. And I want to get you guys on that path, the same path that I'm on. Not so far as obviously you can have different goals than me, but as far as you can completely transform your life. I mean, just the stuff I did in the last 3 years is kind of pretty good. And the things that I plan to do 3 years from now are going to be even bigger. And I hope you guys, embark on that journey too, because at the end of the day, life is way too short. And since I started this video, look how much more sand went down. We're running out of it every day, guys. So RIP all these people, these wonderful martial arts and action movie dudes that I had interviewed that are no longer with us. Stephen Lambert, Conrad Palmisano, Norton and Chicken Gabriel, and of course Richard Norton. And over time, more will unfortunately pass. Unfortunately, I mean, that's life, but that's what gives life meaning. Because if we were here, if we were immortal, if we were here forever, then all of this would be meaningless. But find some kind of meaning in your life. And remember, just this physical world that we inhabit and that we experience, it's not the end, man. Look into something much bigger and much deeper. This will really change your perspective on a lot of things as well. Anyway, if you like this video, if you like what I'm talking about, if this motivates you in some way, give it a like, comment below.